You are the person who convinced Donald Trump to run for office. What did you see in him before the rest of the country did?
I first met him in 1979 when I was sent to New York to run Ronald Reagan's campaign for president. And he was referred to me as someone who might be interested in joining Reagan's finance committee. And of course, I knew from the tabloids, I knew who he was, and he was very well known. And he's worked a lifetime to build his brand. I pitched him. He joined Reagan's finance committee. He and his father, they both raised $100,000, which in 1979 is a lot of money. And also the individual giving limit was much lower. After Reagan was elected, I did not join the administration. I opened a public affairs firm, Black Manafort & Stone, which was quite successful. The left says that we were the torturers' lobby. No, we represented foreign countries that were allies of the United States. One of my very first clients was Donald Trump and the Trump Organization. By 1988, I recognized that he had the stature. I don't mean the physical stature, although he is tall and charismatic, and he can command a room, but also the independence, the courage, the stamina, the open mind to be not just a great presidential candidate, but also be a great president. And there was a specific day in 1988. We were sitting in his office. He was reading the New York Times, and he said, wow, Michael Dukakis and George H.W. Bush, that's what it's going to come down to? Those guys are both terrible. Terrible. There's got to be somebody better. I said, oh, there definitely is. He said, who's that? Let's get behind him. I said, well, I was thinking of you. He said, you're out of your mind. I said, why? You feel very strongly about the trade agreements that we're making. This was pre-NAFTA and pre-GATT. We feel very strongly that we're getting ripped off in our trade negotiations. You feel very strongly that we've let our military capability atrophy. You're not happy that there's no respect for our military. You think Jimmy Carter's a weakling, which he was. You think it's time for our NATO allies to pay their fair share. He was saying this back in the 80s. Why wouldn't you run? And he said, well, maybe someday, maybe someday. And I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a trip to New Hampshire? I'll arrange for a speech invitation, and we'll see how it goes. And of course, we went, and he spoke to the Portsmouth, New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce. The media immediately said, oh, Trump must be running for president. He must be weighing a presidential bid. So it got enormous coverage, but it was also the first time that I'd ever seen Trump's appeal, Trump's sizzle, as it were, in a political context. And it was electric. I mean, the turnout for his speech, Vice President George Bush had spoken to the same Rotary Club, I think it was, a month before, and he'd had the biggest crowd they ever had, 300 people. 1,500 people showed up just to watch Trump's helicopter land. There were 1,000 people roughly at his speech. They had to put speakers outside the restaurant because it wasn't large enough to fill the room. So I saw the potential that early. He did seriously consider running in 2000, but he would tell you today that was more my idea than his. He was very good friends with the Texas billionaire Ross Perot, who had run for president twice as an independent and done pretty well. And Perot kept telling him, Donald, both parties are broken. It takes a businessman to get in there and fix it. You could be that man. I tried. I gave it my best. You could fix it. You should run. And Jesse Ventura, who had been a professional wrestler, who got elected governor of Minnesota as an independent, before he went off the deep end, which sadly is where he is today, basically told Trump the same thing. The two parties are broken. They can't fix it. It takes an independent-minded business person to fix it. So we weighed it. We looked at it. He spent some substantial money studying how to get on the ballot, because the Reform Party was on the ballot in about a third of the states, maybe more. But he finally concluded correctly that you needed to either be a Republican or a Democrat, that you could not win as an independent. He also recognized that if he ran, there was a high potential that he would just drain votes from the Republican nominee and inadvertently elect Al Gore president, which would have been a disaster. So ultimately, he did not run. Then, as you know, he looked at it again briefly in 2012. But in all truth, I think it attracted his interest too late in the cycle. And Mitt Romney, who was an inherently weak candidate, pretty much had the nomination wrapped up by the time Trump was interested. So he didn't run in 2012. He would have been a stronger candidate against Obama than Romney proved to be. And then in 2016, it was like the perfect time. The time and the man were ideal, and the rest is history.